Joanne has a question about pastors and priests who cause people to lose their faith. She says that there are a lot of people that she knows who have given up on their faith because of something that was said to them. There are a lot of people that don't believe because of the religion that was preached to them. So she wants to know what happens to these priests and pastors who preach these things that cause people to lose their faith. How do you think that God will judge both types of people? She says, personally, I have too many people around who don't want anything to do with religion because of what pastors and preachers preach, and it breaks her heart.
Yeah. Good question. What's the name of the person who asked this question?
Joanne.
Hi, Joanne. Thanks for asking that. Well, several things. First thing I would say is that you find throughout the Bible, but it's particularly in the New Testament, that those who teach and those who lead are held to a higher kind of accountability. You have to give an account for what you've done. And you see Paul actually have a little bit of angst about that sometimes in his letters when he says, have I labored for you in vain? I have to present you fully mature on that day. Have I labored in vain? And there's a kind of like, in fact, that passage really turned my head around. It's probably 20 some years ago where when I got that, the criteria was the maturity of the people that you've been called to lead, not the number of people that you were called to lead. Yeah. The bar is maturity, and that calls like, okay, reframe. What's the bullseye you're shooting for? And pastors, if you're listening to this, I want to encourage you. The bullseye you're shooting for is faithfulness and raising up faithful disciples, not getting a large crowd. Getting a large crowd, if it doesn't go beyond that into significant discipleship, is worthless. It's just a religious carnival. So there's a higher kind of accountability, and that you see that reflected in Jesus when he goes after the Pharisees and Sadducees, like Matthew 23. Other places, Jesus has nothing but gracious words towards sinners, and he accepts them, and he ministers to them, and blesses them. And but when it comes to these leaders, he says, "You blind leaders of the blind," and he just pronounces woe on them over and over again. So I'd say that the people who are in positions of accountability, where you have a say-so that has more impact on more people, well, that's more responsibility, and it also may lead to more reward. But that means that if you're in a position of leadership, you better be minding your P's and Q's that you're doing it right, that you're leading people in the right way, and that you're doing it in a Christ-like way. Now, having said that, God alone knows the heart of people. And God alone knows the degree to which their decisions are coming out of a morally responsible free will, a center of morally responsible free will, versus coming out of their own conditioning and their own enslavement to the powers and whatever. You can have sincere people doing terrible things for, in their minds, good reasons, and they're just blind to the horribleness of what they're producing. So I can't judge any particular priest or any particular pastor. I think we can say what is kingdom and what is not, and that's my job. Say, well, that wasn't kingdom and that is kingdom. But having gone there, you have to leave all vengeance to God, all judgment to God. And so I don't know what happens to these particular people. I'll state the principle that they're held to a higher level of accountability, and God will work out the rest.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add to that is that the other thing is, you have teachers and you have students, and the students have some responsibility here too. And a teacher can be teaching faithfully and doing good work, and it's still up to the student to have a passion for learning and to pursue God. We're told over 100 times in the Bible to seek God, and we're told so many times, I think, because we have a tendency to stop seeking God. There's this compulsion to just seek my own life and to seek my own pleasures and whatever. But we're told to keep seeking God. And if a person runs into a pastor who says something that turns them off from God, that person has a call to keep seeking God anyway. And so there is some responsibility there, even to the extent that Matthew 23, Jesus says, look, you really only have one teacher and you are all students, he says. Right. And so really there's only one teacher and you're all learners. And so we each have responsibility to push through those obstacles that teachers may put in front of us.
And responsibility to be checking on the teachers that we're following. And the ways we get manipulated is when we start following somebody or some movement because we prefer it.
Yeah.
It gives us, there's something in it for us. Always be suspicious of that. You want to be following something because it's true. And what is true is not necessarily what feels best for us or what we like or what we prefer. It might be even what shocks us. Who would have thought that God would come down as a crucified criminal?
Yeah.
Uh, but the aim should be truth. The only other thing I'd say, Dan, is that I think students take a responsibility to keep on searching. Don't let what one person says be the thing that ruins it. At the same time, I would counsel Joanne to say that because someone has lost faith as a result of some pastor or priest or what have you, it doesn't mean they're lost. What kind of God would leverage the eternal welfare of your beloved child on the chance that a good witness or a bad witness is going to come and witness to them? And so here, this person's hungry for God. They get into a church, and the church turns out to be a cult or whatever, and this person ends up losing their faith. Well, I don't think God's going to damn someone to hell on a basis of a contingency, on the basis of what someone else did. Okay,
Yeah.
that didn't work out, but God knows their heart, and in fact, He alone knows their heart. And so don't give up. God's not done with those people. God's going to keep working in their life, and I think as long as there's any hope, God keeps working in a person's life, even beyond the grave. It's a long story, not a short story.